strong similarities.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say.
Why Melania Trump is accused of plagiarizing Michelle Obama. RNC platform, where the Republican Party stands on life and marriage. German train attack, the teen suspects' alleged ties to ISIS. And accusations of doping, the increased scrutiny facing Russian Olympians. Those stories and more on EWTN News Nightly for Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. Good evening from Washington. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Patrick. Just absurd, totally blown out of proportion. That reaction tonight from the Trump campaign to accusations that Donald Trump's wife plagiarized Michelle Obama. We have team coverage from the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. Jason Calvi looks at the party's position on issues of life and marriage. But first, Lauren Ashburn reports on the drama that followed last night's keynote speech. Lauren?
Brian, we're here in our skybox overlooking the convention where delegates soon will be filing in to hear speeches. Tonight, the convention is buzzing about Melania Trump's speech from last night and cries of plagiarism. Donald Trump is under increasing pressure to steady the convention, and he's looking to tonight's speakers to do it. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan will headline with a focus on Make America Work. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Dr. Ben Carson, both former candidates for president, are on the agenda. And continuing in his inclusion of his family, his daughter Tiffany and son Donald Jr. Now, as for the plagiarism charge, the Trump campaign has no plans to fire or discipline anyone. Many Republicans worry it's diverting attention for what's supposed to be a convention to unify the party. The similarities are startling.
You work hard for what you want in life.
That you work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
Melania Trump's big moment on the national stage overshadowed by an unexpected moment. Trump delivering a speech with plagiarized passages of Michelle Obama's speech from the 2008 Democratic National Convention.
We want our children and all children in this nation to know
because we want our children in this nation to know
that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
That the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
And that's not all.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them, and even if you don't agree with them.
That you treat people with respect.
The Trump campaign doesn't acknowledge the allegations of plagiarism, mention who helped Mrs. Trump write her speech, or explain where those fragments came from.
These are themes that are personal to her, but they're personal to a lot of people, depending on the stories of their lives. Obviously, Michelle Obama feels very much similar sentiments towards her family.
In an interview shot before her big speech, Melania seems to take most of the credit for the content of her remarks.
I wrote it and with a little help as possible.
Donald Trump's apprentice-like entrance to introduce his wife on stage, yet another moment that has everyone talking about this unconventional convention. Joining us now, Mercedes Schlapp, a Republican strategist and with the Washington Times and Fox News Channel. Melinda Hennenberger is the editor-in-chief of Roll Call. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Melinda, straight to you. Does this Melania controversy matter? Is it going to hurt Donald? Here we are at the Republican convention and the drama is unfolding.
Well, you know, plagiarism is a big deal for journalists because it's a firing offense for us and should be. But I, at the same time, cannot imagine voters holding it against the candidate's wife in November. So, no, I don't see it as a problem for her.
What have you been hearing?
I don't either. I think it was a rookie mistake by the campaign. I think Melania gave a very strong, heartfelt speech about her husband, about her immigrant story, and unfortunately the news cycle has decided that this is going to be the story of the day. And sadly for the GOP, I think that they're missing the main message, which was that of Melania talking about her husband, Donald, and his temperament and how he should be the next president of the United States.
Well, in the room, it definitely resonated here. Let's move on. The never Trump conservative delegates are still going to try and make something happen here. They're preparing to make a final stand and invoke the chaos that they did yesterday. And they want a conscience vote during roll call. What does that mean? Will it have anything to do?
Tonight they'll have the official delegation roll call
Starting
vote.
with Alabama.
That's
going
right.
through all
That's right.
56.
So the question will be, what will Colorado do? Right? The Colorado delegation walked out yesterday. At this point, literally the Never Trump movement. It's the final stand.
Last gasp.
It's time to unite. It's time to rally around Donald Trump. I think that they tried in the Rules Committee last week. They didn't have enough delegates. They tried yesterday to bring a roll call vote. They didn't have enough states. So I think at this point, it's done. We got to move on. And I think what we need to be looking at is, what is Senator Ted Cruz going to say? Will he come out and endorse Donald Trump? Because those folks that were in the Colorado delegation, many of them were Cruz supporters, as well as in these other delegations that were hoping that they can make their voices heard.
You wrote an interesting piece, Melinda, about emotion. Tonight is Make America Work Again, and we expect Paul Ryan to hammer home charges of how the Obama administration has been soft on the economy, hasn't done enough of this. Are we seeing enough policy ideas coming out of here? And is policy important at a convention?
I think that you'll definitely hear more on policy from Paul Ryan than you would from a grieving mother. That's normal that you'll have less emotion tonight. But at the same time, a lot of people, and we've seen a lot of academic work on this, do vote on emotion, do vote on a gut instinct about who are these people rather than a list of policies and issues. So I don't think that it's a crazy strategy to be pitching emotion, and Trump voters in particular respond to him on that level, and he has certainly campaigned on that level to great effect.
Right. Okay, Melinda Hettenberger with Roll Call, Mercedes Schlapp with Fox News and the Washington Times. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thanks.
And Brian, we'll be back with our own Raymond Arroyo, who is in the House, and we'll be talking to him about the role of religion.
Thank
Back
you,
to you,
Lauren Ashburn in Cleveland. Meanwhile, other stories our EWTN News Nightly team is covering in today's world. The Islamic State claims responsibility for a violent rampage aboard a German passenger train. Investigators say the axe-wielding teenager was an Afghan migrant who recently moved to Germany. Wyatt Goolsby is here with the story.
Brian, at least 2 of the 5 victims suffered life-threatening injuries in last night's train attack. Investigators say the suspect may have been motivated by Islamic extremism, increasing fears that an influx of refugees may pose a security threat.
The mayor of Wolfsburg says he's shocked by what he calls an act of craziness in his city. Police say the attacker, carrying an axe and a knife, started slashing at passengers aboard this regional train. The suspect jumped out of the train when it made an emergency stop, but police tracked him down and shot him.
It was really terrifying. You just saw all these people running around, and it was totally chaotic.
Some of the witnesses say the inside of the train looked like a slaughterhouse. Police say 14 people were treated for shock. 4 of the 5 injured patients, who are tourists from Hong Kong, are still in the hospital. The German Interior Minister says they are increasing police at public transportation stops, but says they can never fully eliminate the risk. Witnesses claim the teen shouted Allah Akbar right before the attack, and investigators found an ISIS flag in his apartment. Claire Lopez, a former CIA operations officer, says the ideology is bigger than ISIS.
We have to think about this in a much broader way than any particular name of a group, which is merely flavor of the week. This is Islamic Jihad.
Lopez says European countries have good reason to be worried about who's coming into their borders. She says those countries need to do more in the screening process to figure out if migrants would be sympathetic to a jihadist ideology.
Our officials who do the screening process, first of all, to understand what is Islam, what is Sharia, what is this belief system that sends individual jihadis like this Afghan on a rampage of killing on a German train.
Lopez believes the United States should use the same strict screening methods before allowing more refugees to resettle here. Brian.
Thank you, Wyatt. And the Catholic Herald reports Würzburg Bishop Friedhelm Hoffmann warns against placing all asylum seekers under general suspicion of carrying out attacks. The Turkish government escalates its wide-ranging crackdown against those it claims have ties to the plotters of last week's attempted coup. The government today fired tens of thousands of public employees, touching every aspect of government life. These dismissals include more than 15,000 education workers, and nearly 9,000 were fired by the Interior Ministry. Tuesday's firings come on top of the thousands who are being detained by the government. They include security personnel, judges, prosecutors, even religious leaders. International Olympic officials will explore the legal options of a possible ban of all Russian athletes from next month's Summer Olympics in Rio. Russia's sports minister says he welcomes the IOC's investigation of allegations of Russian doping. A World Anti-Doping Agency report accuses Russia of covering up hundreds of cases. The IOC is asking for major upcoming winter sports events to be moved out of Russia. Our political coverage continues now as we go back to Cleveland and Lauren Ashburn at the Republican National Convention.
And Brian, here we are, Republicans trying to come together this week after a divisive primary season. Pennsylvania Representative Keith Rothfuss joins us now. Welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Thank you for making the time. How important is this convention in bringing unity to your party?
It's imperative to bring unity to the party. You know, we have had a very difficult 7 or 8 years in this country. Actually, we've had a longer period of difficult time in this country. It's imperative that we be unified around our principles, our policies.
And are you?
You know, you take a look at the House of Representatives and the work we've done over the last 6 months in putting together the Better Way agenda. I just want to show our little prop here. This is it. This is a 6-point agenda that we have worked painstakingly over the last 6 months on. Speaker Ryan has been very forward-leaning about being a party of proposition, not just opposition. This is what our party is united around: principles on tax reform, health care reform.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we have a limited amount of time, but under Donald Trump, there has been a lot of division. How are you seeing that being healed here?
Because when we talk about the policies that unite us, we understand that there are many problems in our country. Hillary Clinton represents the status quo. If we want to move forward, if we want to make this country all it can be, we need to be united. This is the first election in my lifetime when the entire federal government is up for stake, not just the presidency, but the House of Representatives, the Senate, and because of the vacancy on the Supreme Court's at stake here.
That's what everybody is saying here, that no matter if you are for or against Donald Trump, the Supreme Court is really what matters when it comes to the pro-life conversation. You're a father of 6, you're Catholic. How important is the platform to you, our pro-life platform that has come out and the pro-family platform?
It's very important, and we have to add in religious freedom. I'm from Western Pennsylvania. My own diocese of Pittsburgh had to go all the way to the Supreme Court to defend fundamental principles of religious freedom. Remember, religious freedom is the first freedom mentioned in our founding documents. You go through the Declaration of Independence.
Freedom of the press.
It is. You go to the First Amendment. That's where we list our freedoms. Free exercise of religion has been under attack by this administration, and Hillary Clinton would continue that attack. We passed a conscience bill just last week. President Trump is going to sign that conscience bill, and when delegates start to look at those policy objectives, that's where we find unity, and that's what we need to focus on. We can talk about this personality or that personality. It's the policy is important.
Yes, thank you so much, Representative Keith Rothfuss. Brian, back to you in the studio.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Coming up, Candlelight Vigil, Baton Rouge remembers a fallen police officer. And we return to Cleveland to see how Republicans define key social issues.
Jesús los quiere muchísimo. Jesús los quiere en serio.
Pope Francis releasing a video message on Instagram saying, Jesus loves you very, very much. Jesus truly loves you. The Holy Father says he wants to convey this simple yet important message. Jesus always carries us in his heart and never abandons us. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday evening. I'm Brian Patrick. Hundreds gather at a Baton Rouge church for a candlelight vigil honoring a police officer shot to death on Sunday. Monday night's ceremony was for 41-year-old Matthew Gerald, one of several being held around Baton Rouge this week. Gerald was a rookie police officer at the Baton Rouge Department. He'd served stints in the military. Another officer and a sheriff's deputy died when they were ambushed Sunday. A second deputy is in critical condition. Police shot and killed the suspect, 29-year-old Gavin Long of Kansas City, Missouri. A unique case of the Zika virus is being investigated in Utah. It was found in a person who had been caring for a relative.
The deceased patient, who presumably died from Zika virus, had an unusually amount of Zika virus in their blood, which we are trying to figure out what role does that play in the possible transmission of the virus to this new case.
The second patient has since recovered. Health workers are also testing other people who had contact with the deceased patient. The Republican National Convention is more than a nominating event. The delegates help to define the party's platform. That's what the GOP stands for. We return now to Cleveland, where political director Lauren Ashburn continues our team coverage.
Brian, conservative Christians have high praise for the Republican platform. It lays out the GOP's formal policy positions for the next 4 years. It's a guide for Republican lawmakers. Jason Calvi has that story tonight from the convention floor behind me. Jason.
Lauren, the delegates here on the floor passed the 2016 Republican platform on a voice vote. The Susan B. Anthony list, they're a pro-life organization. They say this is the most pro-life platform ever.
Opposed, nay? Nay. The ayes have it. The platform is adopted.
These delegates from around the country debated, wrote, and yesterday approved the party platform. Then the whole floor followed suit. For the first time, it calls for a ban on dismemberment abortions.
In the platform, it says what it is, which is a procedure that tears apart an unborn child limb from limb.
Mary Kay Culp with Kansans for Life wrote a part of the platform in response to the undercover Planned Parenthood videos. It deals with the consent forms used for mothers who donate their aborted child's bodies for research.
I want them to also make sure that the so-called consent forms that Planned Parenthood uses to sell abortions to women about if you donate your, quote, pregnancy tissue, they don't say aborted baby, pregnancy tissue, that it could cure AIDS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and cancer and diabetes, which none of that is true.
The Trump campaign took a hands-off approach to social issues, but did fight on immigration and building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Political scientist Elaine Kamarck says the platform is a non-binding roadmap for the parties and for voters clearly distinguishes Republicans from Democrats.
It's a way for the party to discuss what it stands for at any given point in time. And the two platforms are very, very different this time around. I mean, extraordinarily different.
The Republican platform also opposes so-called same-sex marriage. It says children do better both emotionally and physically in a traditional two-parent household. And it also criticizes the Obama administration orders allowing transgender students to use the bathroom of their choice. But Donald Trump himself says this issue has caused unnecessary strife. He says he's open-minded to allowing transgender people to use the bathroom of their choice. Lauren?
EWTN's Raymond Arroyo joins us now. Hello, welcome to the program.
Great to see you, Lauren.
Nice to see you. Our colleague Matthew Bunson at the National Catholic Register wrote a report, and it said that there's been scant mention of faith issues here. What do you think about that?
Well, that shouldn't surprise us. Look, at a time when you see ISIS on the advance, when you have such economic pain in the country, it is natural that those issues, abortion, marriage, those issues would take a back seat, politically speaking. That doesn't mean they're unimportant to Catholics and evangelicals. I think you'll hear more of them in the coming days. Huckabee has yet to speak. Ben Carson's going to speak. They will certainly, I'm sure, bring an inflection of faith, but I wouldn't expect those issues to be front burner. I think the platform you heard earlier, that's probably the most open-throated enunciation of these principles and ideas of faith and morals that you'll see throughout the convention.
Let's just talk briefly about Melania and the plagiarism charges. Do you think that this is going to have legs, as they say in the business?
Well, I mean,
okay, I set you up
a lot
there.
of people say Melania has legs, so we'll leave it there.
But
I'll say this: I don't think this will last long. It is commonplace for people to borrow lines from Shakespeare. Remember Peggy Noonan famously borrowing that line for Ronald Reagan? They slipped the bonds of earth and touched the face of God, which is that Gillespie poem. It is natural to sort of borrow things and take them. What happened here, though, is a speechwriter didn't do their homework. They were clearly out of line. They should be fired. They borrowed this piece of Michelle Obama's speech, probably to put it there as a marker. All of us who've written speeches do this. You move things and you say, make a note to yourself. Well, this speech probably went to another speechwriter. They didn't realize the relic that was therein, and they left it. So it embarrassed her. It's terrible. Somebody should be fired. But
move on.
Is this really shattering or quivering and shaking the republic? I don't think so.
All right. Raymond Arroyo, you can watch him on The World Over Thursday nights. Thank you so much for joining us.
Up next, prayers for American politics. EWTN's Father Mitch Pacwa celebrates Mass in Cleveland. And we get more reaction from the Republican National Convention. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday evening for EWTN News Nightly. I'm Brian Patrick. EWTN's Father Mitch Pacwa celebrates Sunday Mass in the Cleveland Archdiocese on the eve of the Republican National Convention. He talked with our team there about the Catholic approach to politics.
I will look at the Republican National Convention and then next week the Democrat National Convention in terms of whether it fulfills the gospel. Who makes death its ally? Who makes life its ally?
Father Mitch says Catholics are free to discern other issues such as the role of the federal government. Many of those issues debated this week at the Republican National Convention, and political director Lauren Ashburn continues our team coverage tonight. Lauren?
Brian, Tim Carney is with us. He's a senior political columnist for the Washington Examiner. Penny Nance is the CEO and president of Concerned Women for America, author of Feisty and Feminine. We're talking about Melania's speech and the controversy, and it's dominating the news. What about Melania as a potential first lady? Does she have the values that conservative women want?
Well, I think we're going to have to get to know her. I mean, she's certainly new on the political front. I've actually never met her, and last night was the first time I'd ever heard her speak. Clearly, it was heartfelt. I'm really sorry about the controversy erupted around it. That was a hard first time in the limelight for her.
I think you're right. Tim, another woman last night's convention was Patricia Smith. Her son, Sean Smith, was killed during the Benghazi attack. We have a soundbite from that. Let's listen to it.
If Hillary Clinton can't give us the truth, why should we give her the presidency? That's right, Hillary for prison. She deserves to be in stripes.
Will it move voters, that testimony?
Well, we know for sure is that a lot of women in polls have shown, I mean, you get Hillary Clinton winning the female vote, but not overwhelmingly. She wins it, and so there's a lot of people who don't like being told, I should vote for Hillary because I'm a woman. So if you look at the speaker lineup, in addition to Patricia Smith, there's a lot of other female speakers. There, at some points, a majority of a given hour might be women speakers, and so that's Trump's effort to say, hey, look, we have a lot of women on our side, we're going to pull them in, because it's working against the perception that he has a misogyny problem. And so bringing out compelling women speakers like Patricia Smith is key to his ability to do that.
Penny, your group has several issues that are important to it: life, defense of family, education, religious liberty. Is the GOP addressing those issues to your satisfaction?
Well, I would certainly say the platform went a long way. I mean, this was certainly the most conservative platform in my memory. And so I think that really is a good signal. The other thing was the addition of Mike Pence to the ticket. He has a 100% Concerned Women for America voting rate and a 0% NARAL rating. That pretty much says it all. I mean, he is certainly a known quantity and a unifier for evangelical Christians. So we're very happy to have him on. He talks very openly about his faith, and he's a man who walks out his faith. We know that.
What do you think about that, Tim?
Yeah, I do think that Pence does have an appeal to conservatives. I don't know that he is a compelling, for the people who aren't as involved day to day, his speaking style, it's not as, it won't rile people up.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Penny Nance, Concerned Women for America, and Tim Carney. Thank you. And as you can see behind me, Brian, boy, it is really filling up back here, where we're going to start the speeches very soon with Paul Ryan coming up as the headliner. And we will talk to you tomorrow.
And we'll have full coverage from the convention tomorrow, as well as all the news. In the meantime, for the EWTN News Nightly team, I'm Brian Patrick. Good night. God bless you.